Lisa. I'm delighted today to be joined by Emmanuel Marchal, Managing Director and Global Head of Sales at ConsenSys. Manu, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, Tina. Really glad to be here.
No, it's such a pleasure. So let's kick off with the most recent ConsenSys headline, if you will. ConsenSys just bought the Quorum platform from JPMorgan. JPMorgan had developed it, and you've also become a strategic, and they've become a strategic shareholder of ConsenSys. So pretty exciting news. Can you tell us a little bit about this deal and how it came about and why it makes sense for both parties?
Yeah, absolutely. So on August 27th, our company ConsenSys acquired the Quorum platform from JPMorgan. Quorum, as you probably know, is the leading platform for private permission blockchain networks. And we will merge the technical roadmap with our mainnet compatible client, Hyperledger Besu. And so combining this roadmap will be a powerful offering in the enterprise Ethereum space, especially as we see more convergence on mainnet Ethereum.
Yeah. So with all eyes on, other areas such as DeFi, companies such as ConsenSys have kind of fallen out of the limelight a little bit, but you've quietly been, really working away. Going back in time a little bit, ConsenSys launched pretty much at the 2016, 2017 enterprise blockchain, start. And then I think the thinking was more the enterprise blockchain was quite a long way off, considering public blockchain. So you've scaled up super quick since then. And then, at some points, given the market, had to scale back down a little bit. So, give us the quick lowdown on what it's been like at ConsenSys over the last couple of years and how you've positioned the business given the changes of sentiment toward public blockchains that we've seen over the last year.
I think it's been a really exciting 3-4 years. So for ConsenSys, I think to tie that back to the announcement, it's really the culmination of an 18-month transition for ConsenSys. We have restructured and separated our investment business from our software development business, which allowed us to be really hyper-focused on building out our product suite of tools, infrastructure, and application for Ethereum. Our products enable developers to build the next generation applications. We work with enterprise to launch modern financial infrastructure. We also have been helping people use the increasingly decentralized web. And so today our product suite serves millions of users, support billions of blockchain-based queries for our clients, and that has handled billions of dollars of digital assets. So we've gone a long way. Today we have our software business is super focused on our core products, which are Quorum, Infura, Codify, MetaMask, and Diligence. We have also other products that used to be developed in ConsenSys, and they now sit in a separate portfolio, and we'll have more to share in the structure of that portfolio in the coming weeks. But that transformation was really a critical step in enabling ConsenSys to continue to drive innovation, better serve its customer and the broader ecosystem.
Yeah. Well, I think many of our viewers will know of ConsenSys both as a software development studio as well as an investment firm, funding the Ethereum ecosystem. So, how much weighting between the two, kind of roots to business has shifted over time?
I don't think it has shifted. Maybe it has shifted in the eye of the market or the press, depending on the hypes or the hype cycle in the space. But for us, it's always been very clear that there's two markets that are converging. The enterprise market, which has been very early on in 2015, started understanding the benefits of blockchain for streamlining operation and reducing complexity and reducing cost. And then the whole DeFi space, which had iterated through many different names, or the Web3 mainnet space. And we've seen demand on both sides. We know eventually these two spaces will converge. Earlier this year, with announced jointly with EY the baseline protocol initiative, which looks at using mainnet for connecting enterprise ERP systems. So that convergence is definitely happening. And so we think we are in a very exciting position in the market, given our involvement in both the Web3 and the enterprise blockchain space.
I think, you know, ConsenSys compared to companies like maybe Hyperledger or Corda, you know, ConsenSys has always kind of promoted that vision from the start that public and private blockchains would ultimately merge or converge and become interdependent in some way. Do you think that this more liberal mindset is filtering through? And if so, what kind of competitive position does that create for ConsenSys?
So when it comes to blockchain, I think you need to look at it as, and what we see is today, Ethereum is the largest programmable blockchain in the world. It's leading in business adoption, in developer community, in growth, in natively digital and decentralized finance. And for example, this summer, we've seen the daily transaction fees on Ethereum surpass those of Bitcoin, meaning Ethereum is the most used protocol. That's really what it means. And every time there's been a technology that saw a mass adoption, it's always been stretched to the limit. We'll remember complaining about internet being too slow, which meant really that internet was successful. And so the same is happening here. Blockchain are a trust technology, and Ethereum is far and away the leading candidate to serve as the new trust foundation for the payment system. And so we are really, really exciting about our positioning in the space and how we can support the continued growth of the ecosystem.
Yeah, so let's talk about, you know, what's next. You know, there's excitement building over the upcoming release of ETH 2.0. Where do you see the opportunities that will create for ConsenSys at a software development and scaling level? You know, do you see opportunities around potentially staking? You know, what could the scaling issues be? You know, what's your position on the future outlook for the highs and lows of ETH 2.0?
Well, we see the high. So Ethereum 2 has been, you know, a long way to come. The community has poured an incredible amount of effort in making sure Ethereum 2 will be right from the start, and therefore it's making sure that you know, there's sufficient tests. And but Ethereum 2 was talked about already in 2015 with the move to proof of stake. For us with ConsenSys, we've been involved in that in this journey from the start. Earlier last year, we started releasing our Ethereum 2 client called Teku. We've also earlier this year launched our staking service called Codified Staking, and we see a tremendous level of interest as everybody is now starting to line up for what I really hope a launch of the Beacon chain towards the end of the year. And so we're ready for supporting this.
Okay. How confident are you that Ethereum 2.0 will help to solve, you know, some or all of the network scaling issues that it's experienced?
I'm very confident. I'm very confident because not because we get the silver bullet on technology, but because Ethereum benefits from having the largest community adoption and support, the largest amount of research around it, done not by a single company, but by a combination of companies and independent developers. And as such, and it has proven this over the last 5 years, is it's capable of innovating, yet maintaining the security and solidity of the existing network. And so very, very confident that continue to operate on in that way. I think there's also a very interesting trend in enterprise is the increasing level of adoption of Ethereum, not only in traditional enterprise consortiums, but also with central bank digital currencies. ConsenSys is in discussion right now with 4 of the central banks for the issuance of digital currency. And so that's another trend of the adoption of Ethereum in the space.
Great. So, one of the other, surrounding issues that we talk about a lot is interoperability cross-chain, right? So, there's teams like Lab 577 who are building on Corda but remaining chain agnostic, or projects like Polkadot or Cosmos. How do you see the next stage of interoperability playing out? And how important are things like standards? What role do they play in ensuring that interoperability becomes a reality?
Yeah, so interoperability is going to become critical, but first you need adoption on networks. And so what we see today is most of the digital assets are existing on Ethereum, and in private network, recent report showed that it's a two-pronged race between Fabric and Ethereum,
okay.
with Corda following next. And so that means the assets, interoperability will be important, but the first prime is making sure this network gains significant traction and exists, and then interoperability will come next. I think what we've seen so far is on the interoperability work, there's standards are going to be critical, which is why we've been involved in the formation of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance that has worked on standards for Ethereum technology and also smart contracts. We're involved in the token taxonomy framework, which is another group that's trying to establish standards of digital assets. And also all the ERC 20 and 1400 and different Ethereum standards are very important. So we are highly involved in all of these. And then I think this will naturally set one of the foundation for where the interoperability will be important.
Okay. Well, and I guess finally, one of the questions I wanted to just touch on too is, what are your other core areas of focus or demands that you're seeing from enterprise services or enterprise customers? We don't hear as much about what's happening in the enterprise space. Where do you see the next kind of 12 months and the evolution of enterprise blockchain going?
That's a good question. So maybe enterprise projects are a bit less sexy than DeFi right now, but they're very real. So for example, in the global trade and logistics space, there's very significant projects that have taken place, going live in 2018 and growing now to hundreds of customers, like of Congo for commodity trade finance, or ConsenSys for post-trade processing, or VACT also for post-trade processing in oil and gas. All these projects have gathered hundreds of customers and have now effectively digitized the operation of their market between counterparties and have become references in their respective markets. So this will continue. We will see many of these networks still coming live this year. And then I think gradually you will see a consolidation of these networks or a connection of these networks. So for example, VACT, which deals with trade execution in oil and gas market, is connected to Congo when it requires financing. And so that's one form of interoperability, although both of them are built on private Ethereum. It is two separate chains, and there's interoperability between the two. So I think we'll continue to see this. I've talked also about central bank digital currencies. These projects are becoming very real. We've seen a massive progress this year in the adoption. The European Union just announced that it needs to accelerate to not be left behind China on its digital currency initiative. And then I think next year we're going to start seeing some of the first convergence projects where enterprises are using mainnet to interconnect their systems. And that will be, again, very exciting development.
Fantastic. Manu, it's been fascinating. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of an inside view of what's happening at ConsenSys. It's been a pleasure to have you.
I'm very, very glad to have that chat with you today, and thank you for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure.